this, and I don't know what he's going to talk about, but I like this guy, Modernity. I like him. And I'm thinking he's going to be talking about the police, but I saw it, and he's not normally clickbaity. He normally, when it says it's beyond outrageous, then it is outrageous. Yeah? So I want to see what he's talking about.
Weeks after Starmer basically laughed at Vance and Trump for suggesting the UK doesn't have free speech.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time here. So.
Starmer's goons are now arresting all the migrant hotel protest leaders.
But it looks like the police are trying to cause a scene. Look at that! Look what they're doing! Look what the police are doing! What are they doing?
What are you under arrest for, Callum? Callum is now under arrest for inciting racial hatred. Yeah, we'll stand back.
And today, more evidence.
Let's see what happens to them in the courts. I don't know the full story, so I'm not going to comment. She clearly, when you look at it, whether it's right or wrong, she kind of knew she was going to get arrested. I think some people are going to position themselves because they feel so strongly that they'll take it to the edge. But inciting racial hatred can carry some weight in prison. Let's see. Let's get this back up there, guys.
Evidence of precisely why they're protesting in the first place. Asylum seekers given £300,000 townhouses rent-free while struggling locals can't get on the property ladder, with a rental value of £1,200 a month. The houses, paid for by the government with my tax money, include ensuite bedrooms, electric vehicle charging points and underfloor heating, located in a nice village in Suffolk, which won't be nice for much longer. A councillor claimed that the local community had responded very positively to illegals being gifted 300k houses while they can barely afford to pay the rent. Very positively, really.
Who's getting the rent money? Because I've talked about this before. The Circle, there's new contracts being offered out because they're going to run out of housing in the UK. And this is just a fact. So when they run out of hotels, they're going to need to go into houses. And there's certainly out there, Circle been putting out there in local authority areas that they're willing to offer 4 to 5 year contracts, 25, 35% above the sort of rate to secure that property. They'll take it over. You'll get it back in the same condition you gave it over, and you're guaranteed rent money. So that £1,200 a month isn't probably going to be £1,200. It's going to be more like £1,600 a month that's being paid out. And I said I struggled. Whilst I wouldn't take it if it was offered to me, if I was in a precarious financial situation, and people can get mad at me and say, oh, you're not a patriot, Alan. You know, you would give it up for the dollar. You would sell your soul for £1. What I said was, I was honest, I would struggle with it. I'm not going to put my house up for rent. I'm not going to move out of it. But if I had to, and somebody said, we can give you a third more than you would get on the open market, and we can guarantee it for 5 years, and you'll get your house back in exactly the same condition you gave it to us, I don't know. I'd be struggling. Yeah.
Then why in the report can they only name one stupid woman responding very positively, while every single other resident was furious? It's all just happened without us knowing about it. Our opinions don't seem to count. There's people working hard to...
Because they have to create a narrative which says everyone really loves it. It doesn't matter if everyone doesn't love it. And clearly now, if you're watching world news, there's going to be a building consensus in this country that's going to be national. And I'll come on to what I think's going to be interesting. There's a young man called Lander. He does some great stuff, and I'll dig us out for the next one. No, I'll tell about it now. In a world where everything is racist and everything is based on identity politics, which we all know, it goes back to identity politics, what it causes, untold carnage. I noticed today there was a lot of, and there's something called Raise the Flag that's happening in the UK at the moment. It's a movement about raising the flag, which is a subtext for really about celebrating English identity. What I saw today was multiple short clip videos with huge views from 20 to 30-year-old black English patriots. Now what's going to happen is anything that kept those two communities apart either by reality or by fabricated mainstream media or by geography or just by culture or whatever, when you find one common piece of ground where you can go, I tell you what, it's like the Christmas Day truce between the Germans and the British when they played a game of football. You're going to get a truce that might last forever, hopefully, where they'll go, maybe we've been told a lot of stuff that we can just set that aside. I'm with you on the flag raising, I'm with you on immigration, I'm with you on... And then suddenly you'll think, well, hang on a minute. All those things we're together on, they've been said we're drawn apart. I think you're going to see some unifying here amongst communities that the government won't like, because its job is to keep us separate. Any government is a job to keep everybody in factions that they can control. If you've got one group of people, the government only has to focus on one group of people. If you get 5 groups who join together and there's an homogeny that they've suddenly got to control so many people, when things start to unify like that, I genuinely think it's going to happen. I genuinely believe that, and I hope it does, regardless of what the outcome is. Anything that can unify communities that shouldn't be divided on everything. They can be divided on some things, of course, but they shouldn't be divided on patriotism. They shouldn't be divided on wanting to be treated better, to get fair options in the workplace. I think this is going to be a unifier, and we're seeing the start of it. Slight detraction there, guys.
To try to get on the property ladder and they're not considered. We're paying for all of this. Why are we working hard for asylum seekers just to get everything for free? There are people born in this country that pay taxes who can't get housing. The worst thing is none of us knew. We've been kept in the dark. And this is them responding very positively. You hear the news and think this is in the towns and cities, but now it's hitting home. It's right next door. There's a lot of teenagers in the village.
Joiner, Dylan Kasuru. It's not an English name. That's a Nigerian guy. Yeah. Or Ghanaian or African English. But certainly, it's not an atypical surname for an English. It doesn't look Polish. Yeah.
You might like the opportunity to buy a place here, so for housing like that to be let out to asylum seekers paid for by taxpayers is unbelievable. Another attack the government for giving migrants everything for free. Wow. So positive. This is a bigger scandal than the hotels. 40% of young people in Britain can't even afford to buy a house in a ghetto, while people who rocked up...
It's been that way for a long time. Studies in the last 10 years have shown that the average age of young men leaving home and women is going up and up and up and up. I think it's about 28 now. I remember, and I could Google it, but it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. My timeline is relatively okay. I think in the 90s it was about 24. Now it's 28. So how long it is, and then if it's 28 on average, that means you've got 35-year-old men living at home because they can't get out. And I don't mean because they haven't got a job, because they just can't afford to buy where they live. So to correlate those two together is not necessarily fair, but it's going to add weight as it goes on. So in other words, it's going to be exacerbated. The less housing there is, the harder it's going to be get. But it's been a huge problem for such a long time.
Up on a boat 5 minutes ago, I handed the keys to brand new pads, while the government literally admits the rights of illegals trump those of citizens.
Your lawyers, under your guidance, have said in terms that the rights of asylum seekers are more important than the rights of local people in Epping Forest. Would you at least acknowledge that that is what they will hear? And it's up to you. Ministers can say, we agree with that, or we don't agree with it. You can't simply say, let's balance things. Do you agree with what your lawyers said, or don't you?
Yes, of course we do.
Earlier this year, it emerged Serco, the government, was...
He clipped that. I think he clipped it because it's right. So basically, Epping is a town, Essex, and I've talked about this the other day because I'm convinced, and I'll say it again because I'm just convinced, and I couldn't find it, but it's out there. There was an order there. We have your First Amendment orders, and we picked up on that in the UK, and there's a guy called DJ Audits, and I'm pretty sure it's him, that he went to a hotel and showed them planning permission and said, you can't do this. You can't be close to the public and still call yourself a hotel. So what are you? You haven't got planning permission to be this dwelling that you are. And it was, well, yeah, get out, police, arrest you. And then this was a couple of years ago, I think I saw this. And now that's what was challenged, and the government's won its right to appeal to the High Court to say, and one of the things they said was the rights of migrants outweigh the needs of the local. But I can't swear by that what was said, but that's what's been quoted online, and you can see the broadcaster saying it there. So yeah, all of this about the cost of housing and the rent money being given away, yeah, they're all important, but they're not the real issue. And everyone knows what the real issue is.
Was offering private landlords 5 years
to the consensus, to the population that's growing. They've got a Tommy Robinson organised sort of English patriotism march next on the 13th in London. I think there's going to be over 1 million people there. I think the world's going to be shocked at just how many people turn up.
year guaranteed full deals to rent to migrants. This included free property management, full repair and maintenance, plus utility bills. The government's also cut in 7-year deals with hotel owners for them to house migrants. All expenses paid. I think we've found the one breed of landlords who shitlibs refuse to condemn as greedy grifters for blocking them from getting on the property ladder. Isn't it? Given all this, it's no surprise that people living in the areas where the...
That was brilliant. That's why I like watching him. I don't watch him all the time because I don't want to be sort of dragged into a cycle of pessimism, even though it's justified. He's saying, okay, so the rage against the patriarchy, against capitalism, is actually something they're going to use in their favour now and say, oh yes, it's the right thing to do to pay exorbitant amounts of money to hotel chains. Yeah, even things like the Holiday Inn at Heathrow Airport, which is a huge chain, and Heathrow Airport wouldn't be struggling. So imagine how much money they're getting to have a big international hotel, 435 rooms, fully booked, paid for by the government, when they would have been fully booked or at least on 80% occupancy all the time with nights going out. So they will already be making money. The amount of money they must be making to do that, or maybe they're in trouble all over the country. Because the same holiday is the one in Manchester where I used to work near, and when I used to go down and visit my head offices, I'd stay in that hotel because it was literally like a 500-yard walk to the offices where I'd have meetings. That's shut, and the next available hotel was 4 miles from where I used to work, and there used to be 3 or 4 that were within half a mile that I could walk. They're gone. So yeah, the amount of money. But again, as a business owner, I'd be lying if I said I would think, oh, hang on a minute. But none of the staff are kept. They're all booted out, all the staff are laid off. Some are kept, but not all. And it's all replaced by Serco security staff. And Serco will be making a lot of money off this. Serco's a whole new ballgame. There's a lot of stuff about Serco online. Good or bad or indifferent. I just know there's a lot of stuff out there challenging their capacity to deliver the contracts that they say they've took. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's out there.
Migrants are being dumped are now refusing to pay their council tax.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we stand here today as proud English men and women, steadfast in our resolve to uphold our constitutional and common law rights as subjects of this great nation, England. These rights...
We don't have any constitution. We don't even have a Bill of Rights.
Enshrined by our own English Convention Parliament and safeguarded by the English Bill of Rights. Inclusion
not real.
Not
that sense.
That no foreign court or convention can override.
Yeah.
We assert our fundamental right to protest peacefully, a right woven into the fabric of our history. From the peasants' revolt started in
We have the right to protest, but the police can just declare that area a no-go zone and move you where it doesn't matter anymore. They can see you can still protest about this hotel, but you can protest 2 miles away in a field. That's all they'll do, and they'll keep doing that.
Essex to Peterloo, Manchester. The people of Essex once repelled a Napoleon...
Peterloo was in 1819, and you also had things like the Charterists movement, in 1828 to 1849. Those are 2 conflicts. I've talked about this where the version of the military was brought on the streets, and there was a demand for reform for democracy, and British soldiers, although it was household cavalry, they were technically ruled by the nobles, ruled by the lords. They killed British citizens. So that's what she's talking about, Peterloo.
Ionic invasion.
No.
As an English town, we declare that we will not consent to governance that endangers our communities in response to the misinformation and propaganda disseminated by the British Broadcasting Corporation.
Disseminated. Don't read off a script. I know you're passionate, but you can condense this. Bring it down. Get it out there. Yeah. I'm not criticising her. She's speaking with passion. And when you've got women stood up doing that, the men will be driven even more, to be more protective than they are, to be more patriotic than they are. Because if the women are going to take the lead and the men are going to support them, then you've got a problem in government. You really have. Because if women are taking the lead and men have said, yeah, we're in on this, you lead, we'll follow, we'll support you, then you've got a real problem.
And others. We refuse to pay the television licence fee.
Then they'll arrest you. Civil disobedience is fine, but the government doesn't care. It'll use that. It's already done that, and it'll do it again.
Furthermore, we will not pay council tax. Yeah.
Then you'll have the bailiffs round. It's not going to serve any purpose. You don't need... It's nice sounding, but people will still pay their council tax, I promise you. I suspect she may prove me wrong, she may be steadfast in her resolve, but 90% of that crowd's either not paid their council tax, they don't care, but they're going to pay it. Property taxes, basically. It's for your municipal services, to my American friends. You pay what used to be called a poll tax. It's council tax. So your council, your police service, fire service, refuse collection, road repairs in your local area, you pay in based on the value of your property and different categorizations. And you have to pay it, because if you don't pay it, you can end up in real trouble, and you can't get rid of it by bankruptcy either. Same as HMRC, to a degree.
As non-payment of taxes has long been a legitimate form of protest in our land.
No, it was okay, that clip. I don't think that was fully representative. Let's see where it goes next.
If you value what I do and you want to help support me, please visit pauljosephwatson.locals.com and either pledge a one-time donation or subscribe to join my community, get early access videos, and message me directly. And exclusive live streams coming soon too, promise. Check out the Locals link down in the description. And don't forget to...
So when she's talking about Peterloo and the Chartist movement, that was when there was a real pushback, and there was another one in the 70s. When you get external chaos that allows the government to detract people from what the real issue is, in other words, if people are not paying council tax, if people are not doing this, people are doing that, and you're getting civil, it allows the government to say, well, they're not organised, they're not political, they're not law-abiding citizens, why should we listen to them? And you're like, now I know that may sound a bit cynical of me, but that's what any government would want. If I've got a real issue that's a thorn in my side and I'm losing, and then you all do lots of different things that I'm allowed to say, well, yeah, but you're not obeying the law, and that's what I'm going to do, and you're not obeying the law, and this group's not obeying the law, why should I listen to them? This is not democracy, you're not allowed to break the law. They'll just say that, and they'll use it to counter-strike, as I would. That's what I would do. Yeah, 100% I would do that. All day long I would do that. What else caught my eye? Now this guy...